Welcome. In this screencast, I'm going to show you one technique for making a terrestrial planet model using the laser cutter. So we are planning this in Tinkercad, and I've made a template, a terrestrial planet template that you can download from the home page. And make sure you're editing this template in Chrome. Tinkercad works much better in Chrome than Safari. Some of the minor little glitches that you might run into make it a little bit harder to use. So I've got here an orange circle. You should adjust this circle to the scale size of your planet in millimeters. So this is 1.5 centimeters on either side. Now down here on my grid, I've made sure that I've got snap to grid set to 0.5 millimeters. If it's not, we can click on the blue arrows and change it. If you're not even in millimeters, if you're in inches, you can go to Edit Grid and change your unit to millimeters. Now, I've got two pieces on here for you to start with, the circle and the rectangle. So the rectangle we're going to use to measure and figure out the sizes of each layer of our planet model. So we want to go ahead and place the rectangle in the middle of the circle. To do that, we select both the rectangle and the circle. You can hold down Shift and click on both of them, or you can simply draw a square that includes both of them. Then you've got them both selected, and we want to align those, so we go up to Adjust and Align, and this brings up these little circles here along the edges, and we want to go for the one in the middle. And then again, that centers it along our x-axis here, and then the one in the middle of the y here centers it in the y. Now, we've set the orange circle to the scale size of the planet. And if you need to bring out another ruler, you can go ahead and bring out a ruler, and that'll make it easier for you to make the adjustments. On here, you'll notice if you zoom in just enough, there is a solid black square here that is a handle that you can pull on. And if you hold down the Option key on your Mac and then click on that black square, it does something kind of neat. It stretches it out from both sides. And this way we can make all the adjustments at once. We've noticed here that this rectangle we've now changed to 15 millimeters long. Now we need to figure out the sizes for each layer of our model. So we want to make another rectangle and stack it on top here. So we can press Command D to duplicate it, and then press the arrow key up and get it to rest right on top of the last one. And this one, we can adjust it in about a millimeter or so. So do the same thing again. Hover over the black square in the middle of the end. Hold down the Option key and drag it in one. Then we can go ahead and click on it again. Press Command D and repeat the process until we have filled in the entire upper half of our circle with the red rectangles. Alright, so Command D to duplicate again, and click on the new one, click on the handle, Option key, drag it in, line it up right here on the corner of the edge, and then repeat. Alright, you'll notice that at the top of the circle it starts to shrink in size pretty quickly, and that's okay. Now, for the last one, make sure you're holding the Option key, and make sure it's at least 3 millimeters. Alright, so we don't need to do the bottom half because it should be a mirror image, so this one would be the same size as down here. Alright, now let's go ahead and write down the size of each one of these. So I've got 15, and you go ahead and write down the size of each one of yours. Now, depending on the size of the planet, you may have more of these, you may have less, but just go ahead and make a note of the size of each one of these. And then, once you've done that, resume the video. Excellent. So now we want to go ahead and make a circle that matches each one of these sizes. So my first one is 15, and I'm going to go ahead and go to Shapes, and go to Cylinder, bring out a new cylinder, and set the height to 5 millimeters, and set the X and Y dimensions to 15. So repeat that for each one of your circles here. Now, let's go ahead and look at what we've done here. We've got each circle here represents one of these layers, and they're sized appropriately to the same size as these. Now, in order to construct our model, we're going to need to put a hole in each one to tie them together. So let's go ahead and pull a cylinder out, and we're going to adjust this cylinder again to 5 millimeters tall. Then we want it 1.5 millimeters in each dimension. So go ahead and click 1.5, and then let's change that into a hole. And now we need to place a copy of this in the middle of each one of these circles. So I'll do a couple as an example. So let's go ahead and click on this and press Command D. And then I like to use the arrow keys on something this small to move it around, because if I start clicking around here, chances are I'll stretch out one of the dimensions. So I've just moved my copy away from my original, and then I can press the Shift button and select the one I want to put it in the middle of, and then just go to the Adjust and Align, and we can go ahead and click on the middle and the middle again, and that puts them together right here. So now I've got the hole in the middle, and we can just go ahead and press Group as long as they're selected there, and now we've got it with a hole in the middle. So I'll do that one more time. So I'm going to select my hole, press Command D to duplicate it so I don't have to keep making it over and over again. And then I'm going to hold down Shift and select the circle that I want to put this in the middle. So once we have these selected, go up to Adjust and Align, and now we can get them align their centers, and then go ahead and group them. And now we've got a hole in the middle here. So go ahead and repeat that procedure for all of the discs that you made. So I've gone ahead and placed a copy of the 1.5 millimeter hole in the center of each one of these discs. Now I'm going to need 2 copies of each one of these. And the reason I'm going to need 2 copies of all of them, except for the center one here, is that this is going to be mirrored on both sides. So whatever's on this side, we're going to need a disc for this side as well. But the center here is not going to need to be copied, but we'll copy these. So we go ahead and select them and press Command D, and we can copy those. Now we're going to move these around to try to conserve the size, because however these are laid out in Tinkercad, that's how they're going to be cut on our sheet of cardboard. And the further these are apart, the more cardboard they're going to take up. So I'm going to pause the video for a minute, and we'll go ahead and move these into place. One tip that I do have is that I always like to select and use the arrow keys, because if I try clicking and dragging, again, I might grab one of these handles and stretch and change the size rather than move it. Alright, so let's go ahead and arrange our circles. Once you have your circles arranged the way you'd like them, then you can go ahead and delete some of the things that, anything that you don't need cut. So this was just temporary, and as was the hole, so we can go ahead and get rid of those. Now that you've got rid of all the extra pieces, we can go ahead and do the last step to prepare this. This step is just done because of some little quirkiness that Tinkercad has. So what we can do is go ahead and take a box, and we want to draw a box over all of our items here. And let's make this box lower than the item. So let's make it about 2 millimeters. That's fine. And then the box, it's important to size the box so it's just a little bit bigger. So you want to try to get as close as reasonably possible. You don't want a lot of empty space on any sides here. So take a second to go ahead and adjust, make sure you get it nice and close. But you want some space, you don't want them touching. So there's a little bit of space there, that's my closest point. Then we want to turn each one of our orange circles into a hole, and then we'll group everything together. So hold down the Shift key and select each orange circle and turn those into a hole, and then select everything and we'll group it together. So once that's done, we are ready to transfer this and email it to me. So you go up to Design and you want to click Download for 3D Printing. Once that pops up, you have this SVG option. So go ahead and click that SVG option and it should show up at the bottom, and we can do Show in Finder. And then this is the name that I have here, right? And what we can do is we can log into email, and then you just need to drag this file from here onto an email to me, aromery@lfny.org, and then send it along, and we'll send it to the laser cutter and get it cut out for you.